Hey, what's up you guys? Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. Thank you for clicking on the video. We're going to talk about some more advanced guitar setup techniques. For instance, your intonation and adjusting the height of your pickups. It's very important stuff. And since I am not an expert on this, we're going to be talking to my buddy Hunter Van Houten of Van Houten Guitars. Be sure to show him some support. Check out the links in the description below. And, he's a great dude. Luthier, repairman, guitarist, musician, very knowledgeable. So hopefully, myself included, we'll get some good insight here. So let's check it out.
The next thing we're going to cover is our guitar intonation. What you're going to need to do this is you're going to need a tuner. Any tuner will do. I really like, a tuning pedal because you're going to get more accurate tuning that way. You can also use the clip-on tuners like a Snark or something, just to clip onto the peg head. That way you're getting more of the vibration of the actual guitar. And what we need to do this is we're going to plug our guitar in, flip our tuner on, and the overall intonation refers to the pitch while you're pushing on a string, the pitch that you're going to get. So this guitar, along with most Fender guitars or Fender style guitars, are 25.5-inch scale guitars. So that's referring to the amount of space we have between our nut and our saddle. So the overall scale length is what we're going for here. So from our nut to our saddle should be 25.5 inches. Now, the intonation on a guitar is referring to our overall pitch when we're actually pushing down on a specific fret. You may notice that, open, we can hit the E string and we're looking at, okay, we're on the money with our E string. But if I come up to the 12th fret, we're a little sharp. And you notice this if you've ever gone to play, like, let's say a G chord, and you have your guitar tuned up perfectly and it sounds wonderful, and then you switch over to playing a D, and when you play that D, it just doesn't quite sound right, or it's a little pitchy. Maybe some of the strings are a little, out of tune, it almost seems, and that's because the intonation is off in the overall guitar. So, quick and easy way to adjust this is going to be, we're going to tune up to pitch. So tune your strings up. Then we're going to come up to our 12th fret. We're going to hit the note on our 12th fret. Now we can see this E string is actually intonated. Our A string as well. Our D string is a little flat. So what we're going to do here is you're going to take your Phillips head screwdriver and you're going to come to the back of the bridge. You're going to see these screws here at the back of the bridge. You're going to make adjustments on these. Now you can make micro adjustments here because we're going to be checking as we go. So if you are flat, you're going to want to come towards the actual way that your pitch is. So the way I like to think of this is if the note is flat, it's going to be to the left. If it's sharp, it's going to be to the right. So in order to do this, we could see that our D string was a little flat. So I'm going to come towards my nut. So we're going to have to loosen it in order to come towards the nut because these are all operate off of springs. Now it helps to also, as you're going, if you're tightening to loosen the strings, I'm not going to do that here until after I've made the adjustment. But I'm going to make a quarter turn here, letting this saddle piece out slightly, loosening the string, and then tuning it back up to pitch. And then checking it at the 12th fret. We can see we're still flat, slightly. So I'm going to make a small adjustment, letting the saddle come back out towards the nut slightly. Because we want this note to be right on the money on the 12th fret. Okay, so we're tuned to pitch again. And then we're going to come back up to our 12th fret, fret that note, and now you can see we're slightly sharp, just slightly sharp. So I'm going to back it off a little bit and tighten this just a hair. A lot of times too, and you'll see with a lot of different saddles and bridges, it's going to be really hard to do that. Even with, like, let's say barrel style bridges, this is great. It's more of a modern style saddle, so you can actually adjust each string individually, which means it's going to be more accurate, which I love. But yeah, you may never get it exactly right on the money, but you can try to go for as close as you can. This one we were able to get right on the money. We're right on our D, we got it. This is perfect. So this is intonated. This string specifically is intonated. Now I'm gonna go through and do the rest of the strings as well. But yeah, a lot of times you may be slightly bouncing, you know, it might be a little pitchy, but you're just gonna wanna try and aim to get as close as you can, you know, on the note at that 12th fret. Another way to do this is if you know how to do harmonics. That's another really good way to do it when you're adjusting, is you don't have to play the string open. I honestly sometimes prefer to do harmonics and then push down. That can even give you more of an accurate reading sometimes. So that is how you intonate the overall guitar. Next, I want to look at the pickup height. This is one of the most common overlooked areas of the guitar. A lot of players, you know, think their guitar pickups may have to be matching, like, oh, I need this guitar, you know, this pickup hotter, this isn't, you know, I don't have enough output here, or my neck pickup just sounds really weak, or my bridge pickup isn't really cutting it, or when I switch to my middle position, it gets kind of wonky. So overall, I really like to adjust these based on the individual player and using my ears, and that's what I would highly recommend for you to do, is to use your ears when doing this. So you're going to want to plug your guitar in to a guitar amp. We're going to make adjustments based on the actual volume of the pickup itself. All right, so we're looking at these pickups. I can see that they're pretty even across the board, but the bridge is a little bit lower. So I want to just check the volume of this. Overall, these seem to be sitting right up underneath the strings, which is good, but we don't want them to be too high, otherwise they can cause problems when you do get to strumming really hard. They're actually magnets in these pickups, and they can pull down on the strings, but you can actually have problems if you put the pickups too high, and they can also create almost a distortion sound if they're too high as well. So we're gonna try and find our balance. Now it's up to, like I said, each individual player, the sound that they're going for and overall tone of the guitar. Some may like them further away from the pickups, some may like them closer, but I'm just gonna check the overall volume using my ears. Once you plug it in, just pluck a string. We're gonna check our high E and our low E strings. We're gonna want the pickup to be slightly tilted as well to compensate for the gauge of the string, because this one is obviously thicker and this one's much thinner. So we're probably gonna want that treble side to be up a little higher than the bass side of the guitar. So I can tell that my bridge pickup is a little louder than my neck pickup. And I want to even that out. I like where the bridge sits. I like where the bridge pickup sits, and it sounds really good when it's plucked on the low E, but I want to bring this neck pickup up slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Phillips head screwdriver, and I'm just going to tighten this pickup screw slightly, and that will raise our pickup. Like I have mentioned before, we want to make quarter turns on everything. We don't want to make too drastic of turns, because then it's hard to reverse if we need to reverse and go back to where we were before. So we're going to want to bring it up just a little bit more. Okay, so that's much closer, even, which I like. All right, now we're going to move to our low E string. Now you can hear that bridge pickup is way louder than our neck So we're going to bring that up as well. Okay, that's much more even across the board. And what I want to do is I'm going to look at the side profile of my guitar, and you're going to be, using your ears for these adjustments mainly, because each player has their own preference when it comes to the overall pickup height. But I'm just making sure that my pickups are slightly angled on my bass side, just slightly down a little bit, because we don't want our low E string and our high E string to be unequal volume. If we have the bass side of the pickup further or matching the low E, it could end up louder than our low E string. So that sits just right. That's feeling really good there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's great. Cool.
Now, not related to the actual setup itself, but just as someone who works on guitars all the time like you, what's the best way to clean off the gunk off the fretboard?
Yeah, that's another great question. So what I like to do, it depends on if the fretboard is a maple fretboard and it's got a finish, or if it's a rosewood fretboard with no finish. So with a maple fretboard, it's a lot easier to clean off the gunk because you do have a finish on it. And so usually all that gunk that gets in from playing with your fingers can't really get into the actual wood, so it can be easily scrubbed or wiped off. I usually like to take some sort of microfiber cloth, and you can pick these up pretty much anywhere. An old t-shirt works really well. Do this once you have the strings off of the guitar, and you just want to go through and just really get in there and scrub. Just wiping, no water, nothing like that. You could use a little lemon oil or boar oil, but it's not necessary because there's a finish on maple necks. But that's what I would recommend, is just really getting in there with a cloth and wiping everything really good. There are products you can buy, like polishing compounds and things like that, but I don't think it's quite necessary to do. But that is, you are going to notice a difference once you clean your fretboard. It's going to feel a lot better, moving your fingers across the strings. Fast Fret is a great little product as well, that you can roll over your fretboard and your strings that help condition things. It's just going to help loosen up that gunk once you go to wipe it as well. Now with let's say a rosewood fretboard, it's going to be a little different. That's where I'm going to rely on an oil in a rag. So something like a lemon oil, or you can buy different types of polishes for guitar necks, but a lemon oil works great. This is super easy to get. You can get this at any hardware store, even a grocery store. It's the Old English lemon oil. I use this on fretboards sometimes. Super cheap. This will last forever. And I use that on rosewood fretboards. It helps to remove and loosen some of that junk and all that gunk that gets on there. And you can just take your cloth and really go after it after you've put on that lemon oil, let it soak, really go after all that gunk. Or you can apply more lemon oil after. Like I said before, you can also use boar oil. That's an even better oil, but it's a little harder to come by. So those are that's my recommendation for cleaning off the gunk off your fretboard, because that's the number one thing I see when people bring in their guitars, is they tend to have a lot of gunk and they don't clean it off. And then they're like, they get their guitar back and they're like, it feels so much better, like when I first got it, and it's like, yeah, you just got to clean it a little. So, it can make a big difference.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Once again, huge shout out and thank you to Hunter Van Houten of Van Houten Guitars. Be sure to show him some support. Check out the links in the description. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure he would too. Also, thanks for supporting Marty Music right here. I hope you have subscribed and hit that bell notification and all that stuff, so thank you so much. Hope to see you guys again real soon. Take care.